Hi, you guys. It's Yaz. Today, I'm going to touch upon a topic that's probably one of the most important topics when it comes to relationships in your life. And I'm not just talking about relationships, romantic relationships. I'm talking about family relationships, business relationships, relationships with children, okay? I'm talking about boundaries, you guys. And this is what a lot of people don't have today is boundaries. I'm going through the group where people are asking questions and they're bringing up topics where their boyfriend, broke their boundary, their boyfriend stayed out all night, or their boyfriend doesn't care, or anything like that, is not putting work into a relationship. And it's because there's no boundaries or there's low boundaries. So the reason that boundaries are so important, you guys, is because boundaries teach people how to treat you, how somebody treats you. So the thing is, you have to know yourself. You have to know what you would accept and what you wouldn't accept. So when it comes to boundaries, you should be thinking about this in all of your relationships. What will I accept? What won't I accept? For instance, let's say it's family relationships, and there's a sensitive topic that you don't like talking to a family member about, and they keep bringing it up, okay? You have to cut that in the butt, and you have to say to them, I will not discuss this topic, okay? If you continue to discuss this topic, you and I will not be talking, okay? And it's the same thing with other boundaries in your life. You have to be able to have certain standards, and you have to let your partner know what those standards are. A lot of times people are not clear with their partner of what they will accept and what they won't accept. And then they just let things go. They just let things go and they feel like, you know what? It's no big deal or this or that. And they live in an unhappy situation because they're not being specific and saying, you know what, if you keep adding women on social media, I'm not going to accept that. You're adding strangers and everything like that. What is the need for that? What is the need for that? If that's something that breaks your boundaries, you have to be specific about it, you guys. If your partner talks to you in a specific way that is disrespectful, you've got to check them. You've got to check them, and you've got to check them from the onset, because if you let it go, it's going to progress and get worse. So the reason that people are in relationships and either they're unhappy or they're not getting what they want from their partner is because they either don't have boundaries or they're not, standing by their boundaries and making their partner know, hey, I'm not accepting this. Like there was a girl, I'm going to give you guys an example. There was a girl in the group who's having problems with her boyfriend, and she left him twice and came back. So she said, well, I did leave him. You left him, but you came back. You came back twice. So now your word doesn't mean anything, okay? Because you could sit there and threaten somebody that you're going to leave them, but if they come back at you with the love bombing and you come back, they realize that, you know what, your word doesn't mean anything. And now they could really take advantage because they see that you're not going anywhere. That's why when we talk about boundaries, you have to stick to it. And why do you stick to it? Because you want to respect yourself, okay? We talk about self-love. We talk about self-respect. And you cannot have self-respect for yourself unless you have boundaries. What does that mean? That means the ability to say no, okay? No, I'm not going to accept that from you, okay? And let somebody know. And if they continue to do it, they have a total disregard for you, okay? Now, this is something, like a lot of people, they end up in a relationship with a narcissist. And one of the biggest things a narcissist can't stand is boundaries, right? because boundaries puts restrictions on them. Boundaries makes them live by a certain code that they should live by, and a narcissist wants to do what they want to do, what's going to benefit the narcissist, okay? So this is why it's important to recognize, number one, what kind of cat you're dealing with, and number two, be able to have boundaries so that when you are dealing with somebody who's a narcissist or you are dealing with somebody who is toxic, you know how to put up that stop sign in a way. And when they start to, come at you and attack you or anything like that, you let them know you will not talk to me in that manner. Or if somebody gaslights you, you tell them, when you're ready to be transparent, let me know. Till that time, you and I have nothing to talk about. Okay? You don't go back and forth and argue out and have them constantly gaslight you. You don't get yourself involved in the mess, because what you're doing is you're dragging yourself down. And what the narcissist or a toxic person will do is they'll constantly keep that argument going, because they're trying to confuse your brain. They're trying to convince you that you're wrong. They're trying to flip things, maybe put the blame on you or gaslight you and say that's not what happened, when you know clearly it is what happened. So rather than get involved in the mess, going back and forth and giving yourself a headache, arguing with a toxic person, you step back from that, you disengage, and you let the person know, when you're ready to talk to me, number one, in a respectful manner, then we'll talk. And number two, when you're ready to be transparent with me, then we're ready to talk, because I'm not going to listen to the nonsense. And you step back, and you've got to hold back and not sit there and let this person, go on and on and on, rambling and upsetting you, because this is what they do, you guys. These people will drive you crazy. So you have to, in a sense, you have to let this person know, you know what? I'm not a fool. I know you're gaslighting me. I know you're not giving me the truth. And you know what? My way of not acknowledging that is to not to engage in that, because when I engage with the nonsense, I'm giving you the energy and the power. You see what I mean? So you have to step back from that, and you have to say to yourself, no, I know what's the truth, and I am not going to be dragged down, okay? And either this person is going to step up and be like, okay, well, what they'll do is they'll come back to you and give you a half truth, because it kills them to admit that they were wrong or something, or any kind of admission that they're, accountable. But, you have to hold strong, you guys. It's what you accept. And this is so important, because especially today, so many people have very, very low boundaries, okay? Where they're dealing with relationships where the other person is doing whatever they want. Now, another thing I want to bring up is when somebody has very, very high boundaries, and this could happen a lot too. Somebody with very high boundaries is usually somebody who's been hurt, is usually someone who can't trust. Okay. So in other words, you could be in a relationship and you could, maybe you've been dogged by a lot of people and you have no trust. And now you're dealing with somebody, and the minute they do something that's slightly not right, you're ready to cut them loose and delete them. Because this is what's going on too. I'm going to use the example of women to men. It could be men to women or partner to partner. But in this instance, what I'm trying to say is you have a lot of hurt women out there. Okay, you have hurt men too, but you have a lot of hurt women out there that do not trust anybody. I've had women come to me and say, how do you know you can trust somebody? You guys, trust comes in time. A person's actions and words have to match up over a period of time. It doesn't happen in the first month. It doesn't happen in the second month, because things are still unraveling about about that person. You can move fast with somebody, but even if you move fast with that person, even if you're on the phone with that person night and day and everything like that, if you've only known them in a short period of time, guess what? You don't fucking know them. Believe me when I tell you, because you're going to find out new things about that person 6 months down the line, a year down the line, a couple years down the line. There's people that were married that find out things later on, okay, that they never knew about their partner. So this is why I'm telling you, you have to move slowly, but for the most part, if you start to see that this person is pretty much on the up and up and this person's being transparent with you, you're dealing with a good one. All right. So the reason that I'm bringing up all this boundaries business is like when I first started dating, when I was married, everything, I was like, what are boundaries? What are boundaries? Okay. And we all put up with these kind of things, or we lower our boundaries. See, this is the other thing too. You get married to somebody, all right? Everybody has high boundaries, when you're dating the person, because you could walk out the door any day, all right? Once you get married to somebody and you have kids with somebody, it gets a little bit trickier to walk out that door because now you have kids. Now you're intertwined financially with that person. It's not so easy when you're married and you have small children to walk out the door. Okay, so what happens in a lot of cases? A lot of times you put up with a lot more bullshit than you would if you were single and you didn't have children. Okay, and this happens a lot. I've seen women that have been the biggest bitches, and these guys are kissing their ass. All right, and then they get married, they have children, and then all of a sudden, the power shifts and now the man has the upper hand. Why? Because now she has the children. Now she's not, it's not so easy for her to walk out the door. Although people do it. People do it. It really depends on you and how much you value your marriage and, what you'll tolerate and what you won't tolerate. But the whole idea is boundaries, you guys. And what's a really good practice is maybe to sit down and write down, what you want out of life, what you want out of a partner. Because, everybody goes in blind and they say they really don't know what they want. They just say they want somebody, right? They want somebody that cares about them, that loves them, that maybe, they could have a good time with, enjoy life with, travel with, or whatever. But what are your specific boundaries? Okay? What will you accept and what won't you accept? Are you willing to leave that person and be alone if somebody breaks your boundaries and disrespects you? Because you can't have it both ways, all right? You can't have it both ways. You can't have somebody and then have them break your boundaries and then be happy, okay? That's why it's very crucial that when you get involved with somebody, you have somebody who's willing to bend. You have somebody who's willing to sacrifice for you the way you're willing to sacrifice for them. So let me say this, you guys. The reason that I bring all this up and the reason that I say that this is all important is because from my own personal experience, from looking back on prior relationships that went bad, I realized that I didn't have the boundaries in place that I should have had in place. And if I did have the boundaries in place, I wouldn't have had a relationship that lasted as long as it did. I would have seen it sooner, and I wouldn't have been in a bad relationship and wasted my time and wasted my life with the wrong people. Because at the time, I wasn't as focused as I thought I was focused. Because what the difference is, and I'm going to tell you the specific difference. The difference is, for me today, is that in life, what comes first for me, all right, is yes, to be in a relationship, you prioritize your partner and everything like that. But even before you I can't talk this morning, you guys. Even before you prioritize your partner, you prioritize yourself, okay? And when I look back on my own personal experiences, or I look at other people's experiences where they're dealing with people who broke their boundaries, I realize that the reason that they are allowing these people to break their boundaries is because they're putting the other person above themselves. So let me just say in sum with regard to all these boundaries, you guys, from my own experience, I'm in a great relationship now. I didn't even see my man coming at the time. He kind of just blindsided me, and I'm going to do a whole podcast on, how we met and everything like that, and I'm going to eventually bring him on to the podcast. But the point is this: he and I both know each other's boundaries, what we'll accept and what we don't. We've talked about this numerous times of what we'll accept, what we won't, okay? For instance, when somebody has female friends or male friends, your partner should meet those friends, okay? There shouldn't be any kind of secrets of, that's just a friend. Well, if that's just a friend, then, why aren't they introduced to your partner, okay? Just examples like that. But the point I'm trying to make is, even when you are in a relationship and you're in a very good relationship, the most important thing you can do is never lose yourself to the relationship, because your priority is always you first and your own self-respect. So that today or tomorrow, if in my relationship it doesn't work out because of broken boundaries, I'm okay because I respect myself first. And I know that, I will not allow certain things in my relationship, and I am, valuing myself and everything like that. Whereas in prior relationships, I didn't do that. And that's where I lost myself, had broken boundaries, and were in bad or toxic relationships. So I hope that all makes sense to you. If it did, please hit the subscribe button and share the podcast. Have a great day, guys. Hi, you guys. I just want to make you aware that the Game Exposed podcast now has their merchandise available. You can check out the link in the podcast description. There's hoodies, there's sweatpants, there's t-shirts, there's cool hats. So go check it out. Link is in the podcast description. And follow Yaz on Instagram at dating_advice_Yaz. Hi, you guys, it's Yaz, and I want to tell you about my 2 books on Amazon. The first book is Regain Your Power. It's all about power and relationship. Who has the power in the relationship? And it goes into all of that, okay? The other book is Signs He's Not Into You, He's Wasting Your Time, okay? Check it out. It gives you a lot of good clues as to whether you're with somebody who's a real one or somebody who's just going to waste your time. You could read them both with Kindle's free trial membership. So check it out. Link is in the podcast description.